And welcome to another episode of the Tar Heels Insider Podcast right here on SI. I am your host, Grant Sashray, of course, the lead beat writer of Tar Heels on SI, joined here by our associate beat writer, Jeremiah Artacho, of course, also of Tar Heels on SI. Make sure to follow us both on Twitter. If you haven't, at Sashray Grant for mine, last name, first name for Jeremiah, first name, last name. Pretty simple. Also, make sure to follow us on Twitter as well at Tar Heels on SI. Make sure to like and follow us on Facebook as well. Same thing, North Carolina Tar Heels on SI. And then also, if you go to our website, all of our content is for free. There's no subscriptions, no paywalls, no nothing. Everything is for free. So, Jeremiah, of course, I think everyone wants to talk about football, and for obvious reasons. We're about we're about 2 weekends away from the college football season kicking off, right? Because you got the week 0 games
right around the corner.
You got, at the end of the month, right? Leading up to Labor Day weekend, we'll have our first weekend where everyone else is playing, and of course, Carolina, they play on Labor Day. But we've had some really huge basketball news today. Of course, we're going to talk we're also going to talk about Luka Bogavac and Ivan Matlekovic and what they bring to Luka Bogavac's, his whole, coming over to the America and trying to get clear snafu. But it seems like everything's going in the right direction. And then, of course, you also have Ivan Matlekovic coming over from High Point. Although he didn't really play last year, I do think he could be a very important piece for the North Carolina Tar Heels. As one of the big things last season, well, really the last few seasons, they really haven't had a strong front court, right? I mean, the last time you could say that Carolina had a strong front court was when Armando Bacot and Brady Manick remaining that. But then it was just Armando Bacot, and it was still effective because Armando was that type of player, but there was really nobody around him or behind him in the depth chart. And then, of course, last season, I think really showed you just because of the lack of size that it had. So, I mean, this year you have Caleb Wilson. Yes, he's 6'9", but he's a stretch forward. He's mostly a small forward, but he's a lot like I'm not comparing him to James Worthy, but he kind of is in terms of 6'9", 200, and he's lengthy enough to play the power forward. Of course, you got Henry Visier, who's a 7-footer from Estonia. You already had Jaron Williamson, a North Carolina guy, a guy who's from North Carolina, 6'11", played at Alabama, meaningful minutes at Alabama too. And of course, now you bring in Ivan Matlekovic. But we're going to get to that in a second. We're going to break all that down. But first, the main story of today for basketball isn't from the men's team. It's from the women's team. North Carolina, their women's team, they were able to get Kate Harpring, who is considered, some people consider to be the number 1 recruit in the country. She's a top 5 player across the 3 major platforms. 24/7 has her as the number 1 prospect in the country. She's a point guard. But she is committed to the Tar Heels today, making it the 3rd 5-star to commit to North Carolina in the last 2 years. Another huge win for Courtney Bainhart as she's trying to really get North Carolina back into the national spotlight for women's basketball. Of course, North Carolina, yes, they may not have the tradition that UConn and
South Carolina,
South Carolina as of late, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Stanford, you name it. But they do have a proud program. They've won a national championship. They've been in the Final Four multiple times. This is a proud program. And Courtney Bainhart is trying to bring North Carolina back into the national spotlight, and I think she can. They're coming off of a really good year last season where they went 29-7, and they went to the Sweet 16. And then now you brought in a pretty strong transfer class. Of course, you got 2 5-star recruits and Nyla Brooks and Talia Henderson from last season. And then now for the class of 2026, you open it up with their first commitment being the number 1 player in the country of course, Kate Harper. And, interestingly enough, her dad, was a really good player himself. I believe he played at Georgia Tech. He played at Georgia Tech, and he was also an 11-year player in the NBA. So she's got some pretty good genes. But Kate Harper, what a huge recruiting win for the women's hoops team.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting, especially with this coming season. I mean, you have Nyla Brooks already and Talia Henderson, but for next season, the 2026-2027 campaign, Kate will obviously be a piece that Courtney Banghart will continue to build the rest of her recruiting class with, whether that be incoming freshmen from high school or the transfer portal, as we both know, is very, very crucial in today's modern world of college athletics. Players going left and right as if this is free agency in the NBA as an analogy. But Kate, expect her to have a pretty good career at UNC. And yeah, head coach Courtney Banghart is just continuing to build on what she has already done so far in Chapel Hill. So good get for UNC nonetheless. Good get.
Definitely, and just not they're not the only play, she's that's not the only, like we mentioned, Talia Henderson and you know
Yeah.
Talia Henderson and Nyla. Sorry,
Oh yeah.
my mind.
Nyla Brooks. Nyla Brooks
Nyla
is a
Brooks,
piece of-
and Talia Henderson. But they also brought in a few key transfer players as well. I mean, you also have to mention. I just had it on my notes. Where did it go? But
Alina.
they also had a
Alina.
few.
Are you
Yeah,
thinking about Alina Aranasalo
yeah. That's who I'm talking about. Yeah, so they're
from
coming in. They
UCLA?
were key. Yeah, UCLA. So they got some um, really good pieces for this upcoming season. And really, it's just, I think if there's anything, if there's I think the women's basketball team. I think people are excited for the men's basketball team. I think people are excited for basketball in general. But this women's basketball team, man,
Oh yeah, they've
um,
been consistent.
I mean, they look like they could be something. We don't know yet. I mean, Lainey Grant, of course, is returning
Oh
after
yeah,
she had an all
returning
freshman
sophomore.
campaign. Yeah, I mean,
Oh
of
yeah.
course, Nyla Harris comes over from, I believe she came over from Louisville, where she had a really
Mhm.
good season for the Cardinals last year. I mean,
Mania Kelly.
this team can be special, right? I mean, yeah, this team has a chance to be really special. I don't know if they're a Final Four team or not, but they're definitely a team that people around the country should be looking out for. Of course, we're always going to look out for South Carolina. We're always going to look out for UConn. We're going to look out for Stanford. We're going to look out for LSU. We're going to look out for a lot of different teams. And North Carolina has a chance to get back in the national spotlight. Of course, you're coming off of a really strong campaign in the 2024-2025 season. But not only that, you open up the season. The season hasn't began. The season hasn't even begun, and you've already earned a victory with the commitment of Kate Harper. And I
Good off season.
think she's going to sign with North Carolina. Of course, she's still got some time for National Signing Day, but if you can
Yeah.
keep her committed and signed, that's a huge win for North Carolina moving forward. And really, that's a piece you can build around, like you said.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, especially during these days. I mean, NIL is a huge factor. I mean, getting a player before getting a player or having a player, excuse me, committed to a program was already very secure. But these days with NIL involved, keeping a player is also a crucial factor. I mean, a lot of things can change obviously between now and when she officially has completed her senior year of high school. I mean, she still has 1 year left of high school basketball. So there's a lot that can change, but definitely Courtney Banghart will still do whatever she can to just be able to just keep her as much as she did to have her commit throughout the process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, of course, that's kind of one of the big issues in college sports right now. Is that not only you have to recruit people from the high school ranks, of course, in the transfer portal as well, but you also have to recruit the players on your own roster. And we've already seen North Carolina lose a couple players to the transfer portal from last season. But I think, with another strong year in Chapel Hill, I think North Carolina has a chance, especially if they keep having these recruiting victories. They have a chance to enter the national spotlight. Of course, and now with NAL now being a full focal point in college sports, it's not like North Carolina doesn't have the money. They have the money to compete. It's whether or not they're going to invest in it. And I think women's basketball, you're seeing a lot more investment around the country. And yes, it may not be as fast. It may not be the men's game, but if you look at the ratings, you look at the amount of money being spent on women's basketball really at the collegiate level, right? Maybe not so much the WNBA, because the WNBA has a long way to go. But women's college basketball is a growing investment in college sports. And I saw that firsthand at LSU, right? And you can kind of tell there was a start, because in 2020 and 2020, the COVID year, one of the highest rated sports was actually women's college basketball. And that's around the time when ESPN started to really dig in to women's college basketball. And then right when that was happening, that was when Caitlin Clark broke out. And then you had Angel Reese.
Caitlin Clark.
You had what's her name? Cameron Brink come out. And then Paige Beckers finally got healthy again. Yeah. So there's a lot more investment in women's college basketball, because not only the ratings going up, but also a lot more people are investing. And I saw that firsthand when I was covering LSU, right? Nobody really cared about, women's college basketball in Baton Rouge. And yes, they did have – there was like a 5-year stretch where they went to 5 straight Final Fours when Simone Augustus was there in Baton Rouge. But, after that, nobody really cared about women's basketball. Then Scott Wood was like, you know what? I'm going to swing for the fences. I'm going to get Kim Mulkey from Baylor, where she had already establishing a national championship program. She had won 3 national championships at Baylor, and she's making a good bit of money in Texas, where there's no income tax. So you were able to pull her from there to come to Louisiana, and of course, she is from Louisiana, and that helps too. But again, like, you pulled her from a blue blood program in women's college basketball. And that says a lot about the investment in women's college basketball all around. You're starting to see that with North Carolina, right? There's a reason why they're able to get the number 1 player in the country. The number 1 player in the country doesn't commit to your program unless she sees that something is special going on in Chapel Hill. And that's exactly what happened with Kate committing to North Carolina. Big win, recruiting win for North Carolina, as they were able to get the commitment of Kate Harpering, the number 1 player in the country according to 24/7, the number 2 player in the country according to On3, and then she's the number 4 player in the country according to ESPN. So she's a top 5 recruit, and you can maybe make a case she should be the number 1. But moving off from women's basketball, now we're going to get into men's basketball. And I kind of spoke about it sort of in length, but a pretty lengthy, brief statement about men's basketball. But we were able to get a update from Luka Bogavac's situation. Of course, we all know Luka Bogavac was one of the probably one of the more notorious signings that North Carolina was going to have. That they had. I mean, international player, played professionally overseas. He's 21 years old, so he's not your typical freshman, and he's already developed. Yes, of course, he's still got time. He still can grow, right? He can still grow his game and still develop his game. But this is a guy, he's not your typical freshman. He played against adults. He's developed, the way they develop guys in Europe is completely different from the way they develop guys in Europe, because in America you have AAU. So it's more like, park ball than anything else. So there's really no development. But Europe, they're like literally training those guys. Like, it's club basketball over there. It's like soccer. It's nothing but
basketball in Europe basketball in Europe is very unique. I mean, just look at all the great NBA players right now in the league. So that speaks for itself.
Yeah, and we've seen the European explosion in the NBA. Like I said, I mean, we got Luka Doncic, we have Jokic, we have
Nikola.
yeah, I mean, we got a lot of Europeans. Yeah, I mean, Giannis Antetokounmpo. I mean,
Mhm.
if you look at the four of the top five players in the NBA right now, they're not from America. Of course, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander's from Canada, so you got to include him. But
Yeah.
it's a international sport more than and besides soccer. It is the most international sport. I mean, it really is. And when not only that, you have the NIL is coming in more into effect, and actually players from Europe can make more money in America. So you're starting to see a huge bump in players from Europe wanting to come to America to get acclimated to American culture before they go off to the NBA. And you're going to start to see that a lot more. And Luka Bogavac's a great example of that. But Luka Bogavac, he has officially, he's cleared. Well, not cleared by the NCAA, but he's been cleared by the
Making his way to
United
Chapel
States.
Hill.
Yep, the United States government. Of course, he received a student visa and will be on campus starting on Monday. And that was per Inside Carolina. He already been cleared by UNC admissions in early July, but he had to go through the process of going through the American government. He had his interview with government officials at the U.S. Embassy in Montenegro last week. But he still has to gain clearance from the NCAA. But the good thing is about him is that, the thing, even though he doesn't have clearance from the NCAA, he can still attend classes. He can still practice with the team. He can also still play in the exhibition games against BYU on October 24th and then Winston-Salem State on October 29th. So we can still get some game action even though if he's not cleared. But it would be hard for me to believe that he's not going to get cleared due to the fact that there's the first game's not until November 3rd. So there's a lot of time, and right now it's a dead period, right? The NCAA doesn't have to do anything right now. Matter of fact, a lot of the stuff that they were doing, they don't have to do anymore because of NIL. So, this should be cleared. It would be hard for me to believe that this won't be cleared by November 3rd. And, I would be shocked if the NCAA fumbles this. But, it is the NCAA, and they've been known to mess things up. And it's not just Luka Bogavac, right? There's still other players from overseas, whether it's Europe or Africa, wherever, that still doing the same process that Luka is.
Yeah. I mean, well, for Luka, in the words of Bill Belichick, he'll be able to go through the acclimation period. But
Yeah.
yeah, as you were explaining, all of those exhibition games, going to class, being on Franklin Street, being on the campus, being in the locker room with the rest of the roster. I mean, it's the acclimation period for Luka Bogavac. So I'm taking that right from UNC football head coach Bill Belichick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is a very important piece for UNC basketball. He's a guy
For
who's
sure.
very, very experienced, probably more experienced than a lot of the guys on the team right
Oh yeah,
now.
absolutely. Yeah.
Professionally.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to put in perspective, today Seth Trimble just turned 21. And in comparison, Luka Bogavac, he's 21 as well, and he has already gotten some experience through playing overseas in Europe. So he is not your typical college player. He's going to have a lot professional experience. He's going to be able to come in and provide that impact that I expect him to have on Coach Hubert Davis's roster. So he'll definitely be an important piece, especially with his shot making ability. So it's going to be interesting how he'll be used on the court.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, and and I think it would be used more as I think he'd be playing in the three role. Like UNC is going to play with three guards on the court. Because Seth Trimble is going to play. You got Kion's going to play, and then of course you have Luka. And I think Luka's going to play more of a three role. Maybe not your traditional spot forward role, but he's going to play in a three role because he's the tallest of those three guards. And then also it's impossible to take him off the court because he can create stuff. He's a great shot creator. It's be hard for anybody to take him off the court, and that's somebody that UNC needs. They didn't really have the best shooters in the world, and he's an excellent 3-point shooter. And then I just on top of that, he's played against adults like the last 2-3 years. And last season he had his best season. He
yeah, he averaged nearly 15 points overseas.
45% from the field and nearly 40% from three. I mean, he's an excellent shooter, and he shoots 87% from the charity stripe. This is a very lethal shooter, and I'm really excited to see him play. I really think he's one of the biggest X factors for this team this year, along with Caleb Wilson. And I really think there really is a separation between those two players, in my opinion. But another European player, of course, we already mentioned Ivan Matlekovic. Jeremiah, you've written a good bit about him the past couple of days. Big time. Even though he hasn't really played a lot, he's another big body for this North Carolina team, and he's not going to start, but he's definitely going to be a key depth piece. And so can you tell us a little bit about Ivan Matlekovic? You've done a good bit of research on him. So I'm gonna let you take the floor here.
Yeah. So, well, for starters, let's just lay the land here. So we have Henry Vesar, Caleb Wilson, Jaron Stevenson, Zayden High, and James Brown. All right. So that's who you have before Ivan, and then you add Ivan. Excuse me. You have 6 big men in your front court. All right. So that gives Coach Davis and the rest of the coaching staff a lot of playing room to put out on the court, depending on situations, whatever the situation may be, how they want to play, substitutions. I mean, there's a million different factors. But personally, I feel like Ivan, depending on the situation, depending on who the opposing team has, I feel like he'll be very useful in certain situations where, like, let's say, like Henry Vesar is on the bench, like he's played already for a good bit, and then you have Caleb, who's also on the bench as well. I can imagine seeing Coach Davis slotting Ivan in for a couple of plays just so that he has that 6'11" stature. He has a big body. He's going to be very, very good, especially on the defensive end. His presence, being able to have a long wingspan. I mean, yes, he didn't have the numbers flashy numbers that a lot of people would hope for out of a big man that's coming into their program, especially one for UNC, who's known for always having big man for pretty much forever. And so I feel like Ivan will be great to have. I don't think he'll be a starter by any means, especially with who's in front of him. But it's for the other guys when they go up against him in practice, he'll definitely be a great person to match up against. And then once guys like Henry and Jaron and Caleb go out against other teams who may have 6'11" guys of their own, I mean, it's going to be something that we're already used to and accustomed to while practicing in Chapel Hill. So, I mean, he's going to be very useful. I definitely see him playing a lot more than people think, to be honest. So I feel like this is a really good get and definitely be used in specific moments, to say the least.
Yeah, and guess what? He'll be the second most famous Croatian on UNC's campus. Of course, Bill Belichick is of Croatian descent, so I wonder what their conversation is going to be like. But I think you hit it right on the bat, Jeremiah. I think this is a guy that I don't think is going to start for UNC, but he either could be a good role player for different situations. But I think also most importantly, he adds height, size, and also physicality that you need, because really it just seems like this UNC team hasn't been that tough, right? This is a team that has lacked size. And when you lack size and you go against a team that actually has size, you can't practice against that because you don't have those guys. Now you have 2 7-footers, a guy who's 6'10", 6'11", Jaron Williamson, and of course Caleb Wilson is 6'9", 200 pounds. So there's excellent size. And of course, Zayden High too. You get more size than you had in years past. And that's extremely better. If you want to win a national championship, you have to have size. You just absolutely have to. And I'm not there's been UNC teams that haven't had size. For example, Tyler Hansbrough wasn't that big, but Tyler Hansbrough was
he was
he was a physical presence. Like outside of Armando Bacot, you really haven't had you didn't have a physical presence last year, and that cost them. They went 23-14. Yes, they were good enough to make the tournament, depending on who you ask. There's a lot of controversy with the Tar Heels making the NCAA tournament last season, but they got bounced in the first round. Like,
Yeah.
how are you going to get in? You can't get in controversially and then get bounced out in the first round, and that was quite frankly embarrassing. You can't if you're North Carolina, you take pride in what you can't lose in the first round. I didn't grow up a Carolina fan. I'm not from Carolina. I'm from LSU, right? But if LSU, like for example, I'm an LSU football fan, right? I'm an LSU fan. I went to LSU. Right now, LSU, of course, their team is one of the teams that is favored to make the college football playoff because of the amount of guys, ironically, the amount of guys that brought into the transfer portal and a good group of freshmen that have coming in, and also some key players that have coming back. And if LSU doesn't make the college football playoff, everyone in Baton Rouge is going to have pitchforks and torches on the streets of Baton Rouge. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the expectation you have here. And really for UNC, like that's a perfect example. Like UNC losing in the first round in the NCAA tournament is like LSU not making the college football playoff. That's how it is. That's how I see it. That's probably the best perspective I can give. Right? I know Jeremiah, you know what I'm talking about. And Jeremiah, you grew up in the Triangle. You will be attending UNC. Your first day of class is in 2 weeks. So congratulations, man.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, honestly, yeah. So literally from right here, so literally at this time, what is it? It is 10:03 p.m. around this time next week on Saturday, August 16th. I'll be in my dorm. So, or not my dorm, excuse me, my apartment with my roommate. So yeah, I'll be in my room. But yeah, so I'm gonna be moving in soon, and then class starts on the 18th. But yeah, UNC losing in the first round this past March Madness. I mean, a lot of people, pretty much all fans were upset. So it's not really common. It's them missing the whole entire tournament. The 2022-2023 season was something to say the least. But yeah, UNC has always been a basketball school. I mean, it's hard to take that away from them, especially all the players that have come through, especially, I mean, Michael Jordan. I feel like that says everything.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think about this. How many times in your lifetime have you seen North Carolina get bounced in the first round? Like, I mean, really think about it. And really, probably a better example is my lifetime because I'm a little older than you. I know you were born. I believe it was 2005.
No, yeah, 04. I'm 21.
04?
But
Okay,
yeah.
04? Okay, yeah. I mean, what? Maybe once. Like what was it? Like with Roy Williams? Like second. What was it? Last year where they lost in the first round before last season.
Yeah, no, yeah, they lost in the first round that season. Yeah, against Wisconsin. I remember that.
Yeah, I think in my lifetime, I think North Carolina's only been bounced out in the first round twice. Like, and I think it was last year, and then it was Roy Williams last year. I can't recall North Carolina being bounced in the first round. I gotta really look that up.
Yes,
it's something that doesn't happen often. Either they don't make the tournament, or they make the Sweet 16. They make the Sweet 16. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, getting bounced out of the first round is not really in UNC's veins. I guess that's one way to describe it. But always been a basketball school. I mean, obviously, football is on the uprise with Bill Belichick's presence. But yeah, basketball is UNC's niche for quite some time. But it'll be interesting to come back to what I just said after this coming football season, see where things play out. So who knows what happens.
Yeah, no, yeah, keep this in mind. Yeah, and I'm actually looking it up right now in terms of, UNC in terms of how many seasons they got bounced out in the first round. I mean, since I've been alive, which was 1999, I'm a 90s baby, y'all. North Carolina has been bounced out in the first round. I'm not even joking. I think it's only been one. I think it's been twice. That's it. It was last year, and it was it was last year. Yeah, it's like 2025, and 2021. That was the only
Mhm.
years that North Carolina has been bounced in the first round. I'm being serious. That just shows you the amount of success that this program's had. And of course, they had some years where they didn't make the tournament, which kind of helps as well. But I mean, it really. So here's the thing, and even before those 2 seasons, the last time they get bounced down since actually, if you really want to look this up, the before so since so the last before 2021, the last time North Carolina was bounced out in the first round was in the 98-99 season, Bill Guthrie's second season. And then you have to go all the way up to find it again. And that was in 1978. So there was a 21-year gap between North Carolina getting bounced out in the first round between 78 and 1999. Like that, you know what I'm saying? So it's only been 4 times in the last a little under 40 years. Like that's an insane amount of success in the NCAA tournament. And for the fact that this has happened twice in the last 5 years, that's saying a lot. That's saying a lot. Like just really how far North Carolina's kind of fallen behind. Yes, they did make the national championship in
2022. 2022.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still a roller coaster. Other than that, they really haven't built off that season. That's the type of season where you build off of. They really haven't built off, and that's why so much pressure is on Hubert Davis this year to kind of get it going. I don't think he's not going to get fired, but if they don't do well this year, especially with the people that brought in, there's going to be a lot of heat. There's going to be a lot of heat on Coach Davis.
Yeah, this roster has a very good makeup. I mean, it's especially with Coach Davis's coaching style, how he likes to play with space a lot on the court. I mean, this is arguably maybe his best roster in terms of getting that spacing he desires for. I mean, he has a good amount of he has good bigs that can also stretch the floor and shoot threes, who are also mobile. Caleb and Henry are very mobile bigs for guys their size. Cayenne's a good scorer. I mean, he displayed that while he's at Colorado State. Seth Trimble. I mean, his athleticism and his stature on the defensive end, holding down other teams' best players. And then you have Luka potentially, considering all things go well with NCAA clearance. I mean, that's a good starting 5. So it's going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. So, yeah, it's a really good, group of guys you have. I mean, it's a great team all around. You have the size, you have the strength, you have the speed. You have the guys who can facilitate. You have the guys who can rebound. You have the guys that can shoot. I mean, this is the best overall team, he's had really since the last time they went to the Final Four, which was Hubert Davis' first year. So, I mean, this team has the opportunity to flip the script and bring back the Tar Heels to the forefront. But that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Tar Heels Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Grant Sasher, Jeremiah Artacho. Once again, all of our content is for free on the On SI website. No paywalls, no subscriptions. Everything's for free, so make sure to check that out. But in the meantime, also, I just want to mention this. I did not wear a polo. I'm just realizing this. It's packed away somewhere, so I got to go find my polos because I'm wearing a Deadpool shirt. I don't know if this – I just realized while I was recording, I'm like, oh, damn. Like, I'm not wearing my polo today. But that's how it is when you move into your new apartment. Shout out Jeremiah for helping me move in. It's a pretty comfy and it has a lot of great size. I'm glad to be fully integrated in Chapel Hill society. The last week or so, I've been staying in either a hotel or an Airbnb, waiting for my apartment to get ready. So now I'm officially moved in, got my groceries. Don't have to really rely on Uber Eats anymore. So I'm glad to be here, Chapel Hill, specifically Carborough, which is right outside Chapel Hill. It's basically Chapel Hill. I don't know. I'm not. Maybe Jeremiah knows better than me. But in the meantime, we'll catch you guys next time. And of course, we'll have a lot to talk about in regards to football. But we want to make sure you guys got the latest scoop in everything UNC basketball, men's and women's.
UNC basketball.
Yes, sir. See you guys later.
Right. See ya.